Gerunds look a lot like continuous or progressive verbs in that they have ing. It's a base verb plus ing, but they can be used as a subject or an object of a sentence. So let's first look at what a gerund is and what's the difference between a gerund and a progressive or continuous verb in a sentence. First sentence example, he likes reading books. Well, remember that a progressive or continuous always has the be verb. So since we don't have a be verb here, that must be a gerund. He is reading books. We have a be verb plus a verb ing, that's continuous or progressive. Reading books can be fun, again, no be verb, it's a gerund. He's interested in reading books, again, no be verb, because this is our active verb here, interested in. So that's a gerund. He was reading books. We have a be verb and a verb ing, progressive. He has been reading books. That is the present perfect progressive. Has been reading. We still have our be verb plus verb ing. Instead of reading books, Henry went to bed. We've got no be verb, so that's a gerund. Do you like reading books? That's a gerund because there's no be verb again. He had been reading books. That's a past perfect progressive. We still have our be verb and verb ing. That's progressive. His hobby is reading books. His hobby is reading books. This is a little tricky. It is a gerund, though, because it's reading books together. Don't be fooled by the be verb and then verb ing, because the active verb wouldn't be able to work in this sentence. If it was is reading as a progressive, it wouldn't work. Let's look at our uses of gerunds. We can use them as a subject. For example, swimming is a lot of fun. Playing video games is one of my favorite things to do. Or listening to music never appealed to me. Playing video games is the gerund clause there, that's our subject. Swimming is a gerund alone as a subject, and listening to music, again, is a gerund clause altogether as a subject. Dancing is great fun, that's a subject. Remember, generally a subject is going to come at the beginning of a sentence, so this should be easy. If you want to determine whether it's an object or a subject, we're going to use gerund after certain words to make the object. He recalled going to the market, right? We really enjoyed seeing you last night. Again, after the subject and the verb. Even though there was evidence showing he had signed the document, he didn't acknowledge signing. Okay, so the object is going to come in the second half of the sentence generally. So she hates going out at night. She's the subject. Hates is our verb, so it's gerund as object. Cooking is my hobby. That's gerund as subject. Smoking is bad for your health. Or I suppose we could say, sorry, gerund as complement, because going out at night altogether is the object. Smoking is bad for your health. Gerund as a subject, it's just a single word, smoking. Do you enjoy swimming? That's a gerund as object, alone, right? Geocaching can be dangerous. Geocaching is our subject. Doing homework is boring. Boring. So boring is not our gerund. Doing homework is our gerund clause. So if it's a clause, it's a complement. My favorite activity is using my smartphone. Again, we have a complement because using the smartphone altogether is the object. Why don't you like writing essays? Remember, if we have a direct object, it's going to be a complement, but that is in fact an object. We wouldn't have an object if it weren't for the gerund. What he really likes is going by bike. So again, complement, going by bike is our whole object together. Okay, so again, after certain words, enjoy, acknowledge, recall, we're going to use gerund as object. Or we can use gerund alone, like I like swimming, right? Or he hates drinking, or something like that. If the gerund is alone, it's still the object. Some gerund clauses will be the objects. Gerunds after prepositions. We're going to use gerund after some prepositions, for example, of, in, for, or about. Let's talk about getting rich, right? Let's, that's our subject. Let us is the subject. It's a funny way to say we use the object pronoun, but that's actually the subject. Let's talk about getting rich. And getting rich is our object after the preposition about, gerund after preposition. They said they weren't interested in buying our cookies, interested in, right? So we have a gerund after in. She'd never thought of writing a book before he mentioned it. Thought of, there's our gerund after a preposition. And they gave me an award for being an exceptional student, gerund after preposition for. Let's look at these examples. Now they all use gerunds or gerund clauses, but where they're asking what is the correct preposition. My friend is good at playing video volleyball, She complains about bullying. They're afraid of, or it could be about, losing the match. She doesn't feel blank working on the computer. She doesn't feel what? She doesn't feel good about. She doesn't feel like working on the computer. That's not a preposition alone, We're looking forward to going out over the weekend. Laura dreams of or about living on a small island. Andrew apologized for being late. I don't agree with what you're saying. The girls insisted on going out with Carrie. And Edward thinks that Edward thinks about climbing trees this afternoon. Okay. Next example. Let's decide whether we need to use a gerund or an infinitive before we go on to infinitives. We decided to buy a new car. That's infinitive. To buy. They decided they've got some work to do. Not they've got some work doing. Peter gave up smoking. Gerund is object. He'd like to fly. After like or decide, we're going to use infinitive. I enjoy to write. No, I enjoy writing. That's our gerund after certain verbs like enjoy. I enjoy writing. Gerund clause. Do you know what to do? Do you know what to do if there's a fire in the shop? Avoid making. After avoid, we're going to use gerund. Avoid is one of those verbs that we need to pay attention to. My parents wanted me to be home at 11 o'clock. After want, I'm going to use infinitive. I dream about building. After preposition, say gerund. I'm hoping to see, we're not going to use gerund. I'm hoping to see Lisa. Now let's look at infinitive rules. Use infinitive after certain verbs like allow, agree, decide, hope, learn, manage, need, and want. For example, we're not allowed to smoke on the property. The committee agreed to make some changes to the policy or to policy. My aunt decided to move to Florida. Now this second to is a preposition. It's talking about a direction. It's not an infinitive to. Sally hopes to pass this class and graduate in the spring. My friend wants to learn to weld. Can you manage to do this for me? And I really need to eat something. Remember, all of these share in common the fact that we have the word to followed by a base verb. Okay? It says put the verb or gerund or the infinitive. Let's continue on with looking at infinitive rules before we do our final exercises. We're going to use infinitives with some adjectives like easy, difficult, hard, happy, possible, willing, prepared, free, and able. For example, it's easy to pass if you study. He found it too difficult to read the entire chapter over the weekend. I think they'd be happy to help. Generally, people are willing to give $1 or $2. Forgot my punctuation at the end there. Is it possible to change this rule? Are they prepared to take the exam? I'm able to ride a bike, this one here. And are we free to go? Finally, use infinitives after some nouns like ability and freedom. And of course, this relates directly to free and able here as infinitive with adjectives. So I enjoy having the freedom to choose. Now, of course, we have a gerund and an infinitive here. Okay, I enjoy having the freedom to choose. Right, and this guy has the ability to become one of the world's greatest baseball players, the greatest baseball players ever. Now let's look at some examples. What do we use, an infinitive or a gerund? She delayed getting out of bed or she delayed to get? She delayed getting out of bed. It's a gerund clause for an object. He demanded to speak to the manager or he demanded speaking to the manager. Well, it's to speak. I offered helping. Nope, I offered help. I miss going to the beach or I miss to go to the beach. I miss going. We postponed doing. Well, doing what? We postponed Well, it should be doing it. There's no object here. But we need doing it, a gerund clause. I hate arriving too late, or I hate to arrive too late. I hate arriving too late. I hate to arrive too late. You could also use I hate to arrive too late, but it sounds redundant. I hate arriving too late is better. She admitted stealing the money. I chose to work here, not I chose working here. She waited to buy a drink, or she waited buying a drink. Nope, she waited to buy. I really appreciate being on holiday, or to be on holiday, being of course. I couldn't help laughing, that's gerund alone as object. It seems to be raining, or it seems being raining. We're not going to use being raining, so it seems to be raining. I considered moving to Spain, not I considered to move. And let's look at one more here. We go swimming, we go swim, we go to swim. This would not be an infinitive, that would be a preposition. We go to swim, we go swimming. Well, no, that wouldn't be, that's the wrong place to use an infinitive is what I'm saying. Let it be, yeah, just like the name of the song. He dreams of, after preposition, of becoming, gerund after preposition. They enjoy cycling, gerund after enjoy. It's not easy to find, right? Infinitive after easy. My friend is afraid of flying, gerund after preposition. Jane is good at reading, gerund after preposition. He wanted to buy, infinitive after want. I'm crazy about kissing, gerund after preposition. And you must come to my party. This is not really relevant, but this is base verb after modal. Okay, so if you just can memorize some of these words and get a good feel for gerund as a subject or an object alone, or gerund as part of an object clause, and gerund after prepositions, always gerund after preposition, never infinitive after preposition, then you should have a good understanding of when we use gerunds, when we use infinitives, and how to use each of them.